What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Backyard Revival, the series where I'm rebuilding the mountain bike trail I built 10 years ago. Today I'm going to be working on a project that's one of the biggest things to ever happen in the backyard. So behind me, you can see my backyard skate park, and it's honestly seen a lot better days. We started this ramp in 2003, which was 20 years ago, which is just crazy to think about. But we haven't ridden it, or at least legitimately rode it, since probably 2016. And it's just been sitting here, rotting away, decaying. It's honestly kind of cool to see it this way. It's kind of bittersweet because I put so much work into this, and my friends helped me over the years, and we put so much work into this backyard ramp, and we rode it a lot. But to see it like this, it kind of stings. But I also know that once I moved away and I stopped working on this 8 years ago, it was a big relief because it got to the point where I was starting to put in a lot of money and a lot of work every year just to ride it maybe once or twice the whole year. But today, it's coming down. As you can see on this section over here, there's some big trees holding up this end of the ramp. And if you actually look, there's not much that I actually put in there. There's this stack of bricks and really not a whole lot else holding up this section of the ramp other than these trees. So that's why the first step is I'm getting rid of all these trees out of here. At the end, the Mucktown BMX or Heck compound ramp was about 2,200 square feet. It included a wall of quarter pipes, a couple box jumps, a vert wall, step up, mini ramp, satellite dish, and a few other little features. But this backyard ramp went through a ton of changes over the years before it became what it is today. There's actually a lot of reasons why I need to take this ramp down, but this is kind of the biggest one. We really need access to the backyard up here for the mountain bike trail, and it's just getting very sketchy to walk up here. You can see there's holes everywhere, but literally every time I walk across this, more holes form. So we need to tear it down for that reason. We'd like to get this section of the backyard back a little bit. And there's also some building materials within this that we'd like to use for another project that we got going on. It's a little bit of an odd feeling tearing down the first section of ramps, but I figured this might be a good time to share a little story about these ramps here, these two pieces, and then the piece that I just had up in the air a bit ago. Those are actually ramp sections from the Pit mini ramp, which was a skate park in the Midwest a long time ago. And about almost 20 years ago, I got that ramp from an ad on Craigslist, and that's kind of what really turned this backyard ramp into something really legitimate, because at first we were just building some ramps and we didn't really know what to do with them. But then when we got this 24-foot wide mini ramp with a 16-foot spine, it kind of turned it into something a whole lot bigger. And I kind of do wish I had a better way to have preserved that ramp, and I kept it going as long as I could. The ramp section over there in the back, the 5-foot tall ramp, that was part of the Pitts Mini, and there's a whole bunch of wood from that ramp that's a part of this whole ramp today. This ramp here was donated by this kid named Cody from high school. He was a couple grades below me. I didn't even know him. Just some of my friends showed up one day. They're like, hey, this kid has a mini ramp and we talked him into giving it to you. Let's go get it. So that's what we did. And now it's here. And now it is destroyed, but it served us pretty well for a long time. It was like the step up ramp to the step up, which I thought was kind of unique to this ramp. And it was like one of the more fun features we had here. But yeah, that's pretty far gone. I fell through that one a couple times the last couple days. This has just been all day dealing with this thing, but at least we got it. It would have been too much to try to tear this apart only by hand. But it's still annoying. So you just saw I just ripped out a satellite dish from over here. It was a real satellite dish. Back in the day, Mike Hinkins, he's like, where'd you get a satellite dish? And I said, I had a thing that alerts you when something gets posted on Craigslist, if a keyword gets posted on there. And I told him that. He's like, you really had that for a satellite dish? And I felt the judgment pretty hard. But finding some cool stuff in here. Like this is when we used to have the ramp with stencils on it. It was Mucktown BMX, but I've just been finding those, and it's been kind of cool to see some of the stuff that we had over the years, the way we painted the ramps. It's all coming out in all these reused pieces. It's crazy to think that Colin and I started on this backyard ramp over 20 years ago. It was a small idea at first, but it turned out to become a major project that I would even call life-changing to this day. The original ramp came with a lot of key learnings. It was completely rideable, but it was bumpy and the transitions weren't so great. I learned that you cannot use OSB or Masonite for anything, but this original ramp laid the foundation. This here's kind of an interesting ramp. This was a ramp that was at the North Motion skate shop. If you're from Mukwonago and you skated back in the day, you know about it. After that skate shop closed down, this kid named Mike ended up getting it. I don't even know how it transpired. Actually, I wasn't even there. Somebody else went and picked up this ramp, brought it here, and we incorporated it into the skate park. That was the last thing we ever added to this before we stopped building. If I had to guess, there was probably 6 or 7 mini ramps over the years donated to be used here at the Heck compound. Kind of crazy. After the first year, we ended up tearing down most of the ramp and rebuilding everything except for the half pipe. And we built the white ramp that was probably my favorite version of all time. This was a big setup that kept growing, and we eventually painted the whole ramp green and white striped, which looked pretty damn cool. This ramp was well over 4,000 square feet. We got quite a few years out of the big setup, and I got to ride with many old and new friends. But the time came where a lot of wood had rotted away, but I knew there was still a lot of good material left. So we tore down the entire ramp and sorted out the good wood with the plans to build a smaller ramp. And that's what we did. It felt way more solid and was a lot of fun. Over the years, we did little upgrades like building the step up, which made for a super fun and fast ramp. Do you think the retail would have been on all this wood? Maybe a little bit more out, I don't know. I'm not going to get into how or where, but over the years we did acquire 2 of these construction barricades, and we kind of use them as like a sub box for a little bit, but honestly those got a lot more action when we did snowboarding in the backyard. We only did it like big for a couple years, but we had a pretty good snowboard setup, and these were definitely part of it.
It's called Andy's Backyard, time of our lives.
This sign right here, probably 20 years ago, I was with a buddy and we were at an area, and we always thought this sign was funny because you'd see it all the time. You know, no bike riding, no skateboarding, but this one says no ball playing, which we thought was pretty funny. So my friend grabbed it and he put it under his shirt, and it was extremely cold, and he just kept yelling fuck 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 on the way back to the car. But we got it back here, and this is where it's been the whole time. Sweet. Hopefully we're past the statute of limitations on this one too. Look, this one I even used as part of the ramp. Jake, you're trying to pick something up that you're standing on. See the strap here with the extension cord. This is how we had the lights up there. They were just like those light bulbs in a jar type of thing, because that was the cheapest thing you could buy at Home Depot at the time. And we used these straps and we hung up all the lights between all the trees up here so we could ride at night. It worked pretty well. The only thing was we ran an extension cord all the way from down by the shop there, which is a few hundred feet. And there'd be times where we would be riding and somebody would be walking up and they'd trip over the cord and all the lights would go out. So that was just something we had to deal with here and there. But so I've been sharing a lot of stories throughout the process of tearing the ramps down, but none of the stories would be possible if it weren't for my dad allowing us to do this. I think sometimes he kind of looked the other way when we were having parties and when he realized how big the ramps were going to be. Did you know that this was what it was going to turn into?
No, I just brought wood home and you started building with it. No idea.
Yeah, he would bring wood home and he might have had a project he was going to work on with it, but before he had a chance, I would take the wood and use it for the ramps.
Yep, I remember. It was free, got it off the job site. A lot of good times here.
All right, let's finish this. A few people have reached out to me asking if any of the ramps were salvageable, which as you can see they're not, so it's kind of comical. But there is one ramp. This is one that I kind of designed. Colin helped me with it, my dad helped me with it, and it's made out of metal and just sheeted in plywood. And obviously the plywood's bad and there's one piece broke off as I was moving stuff around, but I think I'll salvage this quarter pipe, just put some new plywood on it and weld up that one spot. And I will actually salvage one ramp from up here. As I was going through and demolishing the ramp, I couldn't help but wonder how many sheets of plywood and how many pounds of screws went into this ramp. Keeping in mind that this setup is about half the size of the largest version of the ramp in the mid-2000s. So I mentioned in the intro about this shirt, how it says DIY since 2003. And my buddy Dan Garrick created this design based on my dog Bray, who at the time had been hit by a van in front of the yard, and her vet bills were very expensive, and the jam was coming up, so we decided that we were going to try to raise money for her vet bills, because everybody around here, everybody who came to the parties and to the jams loved Bray. And while she was in the hospital, we sold these shirts and we were able to raise about $3,000 to put towards her vet bills. So that was really cool to see the community come together on that. And this shirt is now available in the Ace Bike Media Teespring store that I'll link in the description. It's the same design in the original colors. It just has Ace Bike Media instead of the heck compound. So if you're into that, check it out. There's Bray over there. Bray is 15 years old now, and this happened when she was 3 or 4 years old, so happy to still have her around. In my small town of East Troy, Wisconsin, we never had all that much to do as kids, so I built this skate park to share with the community and beyond. Of course, when I first built it, I didn't know that the East Troy skate park was also being built, and I even had a random kid stop by once thinking I was building the public skate park. But it was rad to have both parks, and we rode them both all the time. Over the years, we've had hundreds of riders and thousands of people attend the parties we had out here. We built a stage for live bands in the summer. We held snowboard jams whenever we got enough snow in the winter. The indoor micro ramp came in clutch for rainy days. And even the spontaneous hip hop show every now and then. And it all started with a community built around this ramp. So it is a little bittersweet finally tearing it down, but as I mentioned before, it would have never been sustainable, and getting a good 15 rideable years out of a backyard spot is something to be proud of.
I'll be the one to cut into a frickin' screw. Yeah!
I hope for the people who've stopped out over the years hold some great memories of this place, and it feels good to have provided this spot for so long. One of my favorite moments over the years was the last jam we had in 2015. So many good friends showed up, including the Nowhere family all the way from Nebraska. Before the jam started, they got a little riding in on the ramp, but shortly after, we got the most torrential downpour possible, causing us to push one of our biggest events ever indoors. This normally would have been a big downer, but we did have an indoor micro ramp that was usually just used for skateboarding, but we ended up having a full-blown BMX contest on this 18-inch tall ramp with 5-foot vert walls. Everyone had a blast and everyone won prizes. It was truly an epic time. It was also kind of cool to have Carl Hinckley film one of my events after years of filming his.
How does it feel to come to the Heck compound and win the contest?
No.
You think Jake Team took this?
Oh yeah, for sure. He won. Team Park!
You earned it, buddy.
We're gonna eat heck yeah!
Now that the ramps are taken down, here's a look from the same angle 10 years ago compared to now. After tearing down the entire ramp, I dug a really big hole, filled it with ramps, and we had an epic bonfire. Holy shit, that's hot. It was a perfect way to send off the ramps with good friends who've been there from the beginning and those who've helped along the way.
No, you're not. I'm filming. You filming. No, you're filming. Get out of here.
Let me know what you think of this backyard skate park and any thoughts you have on tearing it down in the comments below. In the next video, we'll be getting back to work on the backyard trail, and I can tell you things are going to be epic. Please like and subscribe because I have a lot planned for the Backyard Revival Trail Series.
Cheers! Cheers to Bray!
It's all good. Cheers to Bray!
Cheers! Yeah!